We live in a generation where people want to make instant money. It wasn't very difficult for me to figure out what will get thousands of people to this conference. The subject of money excites people. If you don't believe it, try to grab the wallet or the purse of the person sitting next to you, and let's see how excited they become. I want to share with you some 5 facts about money to open this momentous subject. 1, money has no own character. Money takes the character of the possessor. For instance, if someone is a drug dealer and he's handling money, we are likely to call him, or rather to call that money, drug money. But the same money will change hands, find its way to church, charity, or any other good cause. Money is not bad. I hear people saying, money cannot buy you happiness. Please show me what poverty can buy. You know, someone said, where there is a will, I want to be in it. And that makes the two of us. Money is good. The love of money is idolatry. The love of money is the root of all evil. 1 Timothy 6:10. Fact number 2, money is powerful. More than any other factor, money determines who gets into power, who rules. Money dictates the values in a society. Money spreads ideas. The songs we listen, the movies we watch, the news we consume are determined by whoever has the money. Sometimes somebody with a life-saving message that can literally save a suicidal case never gets his message across simply because the messenger did not have the means. And that's the essence of the golden rule. Whoever has the gold sets the rules. You see, someone can commit atrocities and gross crimes against humanity and be elected into national leadership if they have the money. Money subverts justice. In many societies, there's no justice for the poor. Money is powerful, undeniably so. Fact number 3, money reveals people. It is easy for you to tell me how much you value the needy, how much you love God, until I check your expenses. Your expenditure reveals your true self, reveals your priorities and your values. Money doesn't change people. Money just reveals who they are. Money revealed that Delilah was not in love with Samson. She was a murderer. Money revealed that Judas was not a disciple. He was a thief, a traitor, and a murderer. Money changed the resurrection story. The first eyewitnesses of the resurrection story were the soldiers who guarded the tomb of Christ. It was not Mary Magdalene, but they were bribed to say that the disciples stole that body at night. Fact number 4, it is God's will for you to have money. It's God's will for us to be wealthy. Some people confuse poverty for humility. Others erroneously teach that Jesus was poor. Never once in Jesus' ministry did he lack anything. In fact, even his parents were working class parents. The only reason he was born in a manger is because the inn was full and Mary was due. Only once was Jesus poor, and that's on the cross, that you may become rich. The Lord takes pleasure in the prosperity of his servants. Psalms 35:27. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things. 3 John 2. Even in your health and your soul. You are never designed to live sufficiently, barely making ends meet. You are created to live abundantly, that they may have life and have it more abundantly. John 10:10. Fact number 5. In every generation, there will be rich people and poor people. Indeed, Jesus said, the poor will always be with you. The question tonight, must you be the poor in your generation? The enemy controls you to the degree of your ignorance. That's why he's called the Prince of Darkness. He thrives in ignorance. What you don't know has the capacity to kill you. So long as you don't know your privileges, you live below your privileges. If you don't know what you're entitled, you rot in poverty and live in misery. So long as an heir is a child, he doesn't qualify for inheritance. So long as an heir is immature, others will rule his father's estate. And God will not allow you to possess that which can potentially destroy you. Some of you listening to me here tonight are waiting on God to bless you, and God is waiting on you to mature up. Because the blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he addeth no sorrow to it. You see, the primary reason they are poor people is because a lot of poor people, one, don't even recognize they are poor. And here is the acid test. If you always find everything expensive, you find tea expensive in a hotel, you find cars expensive, you find clothes expensive, don't look for other poor people. If everything is expensive for you, you're the person I'm describing. You see, the primary reason we have poor people in the society is because the poor never understand wealth creation follows certain universal laws that cannot be broken. And I want to share those laws because a good man leaves inheritance to his children. Proverbs 13:22. You see, wealth creation follows clear laws that the panelists spoke about. For example, and I say this very, very respectfully, in the long history of mankind, there has never been any single person who made $1 million through a salary. Did I say that? Oh my God. There is a law, the law of entrepreneurship. You cannot plant today and expect to reap tonight. There is a law, the law of sowing and reaping. What others took 20 years to master, you can learn in 1 year. There is a law, the law of mentorship. And that's primarily why we're here. If you're waiting for capital for you to get started, you may be stuck for life. There is a law, the law of use. What you don't use, you lose. The talent you don't use, you lose. If you can't be entrusted with the little you have, you can be entrusted with much. And tonight, I want to share with you 5 of such laws. This message will entirely change your life. I want to share with you some 5 principles, all of them starting the letter T. So the first T, I'll call it tree. T-R-E-E. May I ask very humbly, by a show of hand, how many are attending my live audience for the very first time? Maybe you've been watching me on YouTube or Facebook, but you've never come to my live audience. How many, by a show of hand? I just want to know. Please carry up your head. My goodness, that is like 80%. For your sake, I want to demonstrate something. It's an illustration I normally use. Every single great teacher has some teachings that are very close to their heart. And I have 3 of them: purpose, family, parenting. So I want to teach you one right now. So if you can give me your eyes wherever you are. I want you to assume I'm holding an axe and I want to cut down a tree. I sharpen my axe and I hit this tree. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get tired, I relax. I sharpen my axe. Today's Wednesday. I repeat the same tree, same spot tomorrow on Thursday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get tired. I repeat on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, next week, but 1. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, through Sunday. Please talk to me, each one of you, if you can. The tree will? I can't hear you. You're too quiet. The tree will? Oh my God, you haven't eaten lunch. One more time. The tree will? Thank you. Now, some trees might take 2 years, others 2 months, others 2 weeks. But surely as the day follows the night, that tree will fall. One of the greatest tragedies in sub-Saharan Africa, including Kenya, we try one tree in January. Let me give it a name. You register a consultancy firm in HR to help corporates in staffing and recruitment. You don't get any assignment for 6 months. So in June, you register another company for general supplies because your neighbor bought a VX V8. Unfortunately, there is no tender that is going through. In December, you suddenly get fresh revelation. People need clothes for Christmas. You bring them from Turkey. You're hitting every single tree in the forest, but no tree is coming down. Your hands are full of blisters, but no tree is coming down. Does this make sense? Let me try. I'm going to mention a few names, and you tell me what you associate them with, just to see whether this makes sense. Ready? Bill Gates. Microsoft, fantastic. Some of you are latecomers. Let's try one more time. Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook. Oh, now we are talking. Let's cross to the east. Jack Ma. Oh, that's still out of Kenya. Let's come back home and try some few names. Are you ready? Dr. James Mwangi. Oh, we are doing well. We are doing well. James Orengo. One day I said that in Kisumu. They told me, resist. Professor Govi Wadhiongo. Literature. Oh, we are doing well. Nameless. Tabitha Karaja. Let's try some more. Churchill. Jeff Koinange. Wow. Let's put your name now. What's your name? Who is Stephen Moirore? What's your name? Huh? Victoria. Who is Victoria in Kenya? If your name is missing in Kenya's Hall of Fame, you have been cutting the whole forest. I'm telling you the truth. What's your name? Claire. What tree have you been cutting? The forest. Simon Kabu. Bonfire. Where is your name? Where is your name? Now, let me tell you where your name is missing. In Kenya's Hall of Fame, you've been cutting the forest. You've been chasing money. When you stop chasing the wrong thing, you begin to attract the right thing. You are never designed to chase money. You are designed to pursue purpose. Fish never enroll for swimming lessons. Birds never enroll for flying school. They just flow in their gift. Your gift reveals your purpose. Your purpose is your domain. Your purpose is your natural element. Your purpose is your space. Your purpose lies somewhere between your deepest passions and the world's greatest needs. When you begin to solve real human problems, when you begin to pursue your purpose, money follows you. Money is a byproduct of solving people's problems. Outside your purpose is pushing rocks uphill. Outside your purpose is swimming against the current. Outside your purpose is flying against the wind. Outside your purpose is self-resistance. Outside your purpose is fighting against yourself. Outside your purpose, you trade on qualifications. And guess what? Qualifications are available in anyone else. And if they don't have them, they can get them. When you trade on qualifications, you're like any other kid in the block. You can leverage on qualifications. And this is the acid test. If tomorrow, that's the morning, the 18th of April, you tendered your resignation, would your employer call you for a renegotiation? Or it will be Fuchs, finally. She's gone. Now you can hire a younger person, more energetic, less demanding, less salary. If they cannot renegotiate with you, you are similar with any other kid in the block. You need to trade on a higher platform, on your purpose. In your purpose, you cannot be duplicated. You cannot be cloned. You are your only kind. You are your only type. Others may try to copy you. They may look like you. They can try to talk like you, but they will never become you. In your purpose, you enter rest. You look forward to Monday morning. A lot of people hate Monday morning because they are up to something they don't like, but they must do it because of the reality of the bills. In your purpose, you do what you love and you love what you do. What you love is what you do. What you do is what you love. Because you operate in rest. Rest does not mean you don't work, but you flow in your work. You see, in the Garden of Rest, the Garden of Eden, according to some estimates, that garden was as big as the entire continent of Africa. God doesn't play games. How was Adam required to work in such a vast piece of land with no workers? You see, Adam was limitless. He could travel at the speed of thought. Name the birds in the air, the animals in the tropical rainforests, the sea urchins on the seabed, and even the worms in the ground. You are born knowing no bounds, and all limitations are self-imposed. You decide how much you want to make in this life. All limitations are self-imposed. When Adam got out of the garden of rest, weeds, thorns, briars. Every time you don't operate in your purpose, you are outside God's master plan for you. In your purpose, you are within the design for which God made you. The reason for your existence. That is your first assignment on earth. Your second assignment is to pursue that purpose, to master your craft. I found my 5 that brings my tree down. Every day, I pray. Every day, I learn. Every day, I journal what I learn. Every day, I reflect on what I learn. And number 5, I speak things into existence. Let me say it one more time. You don't need to write this down. This is about my tree. My tree is about transforming lives through teaching, coaching, preaching. These are my 5. Every day I pray because I realize I'll never transform destinies unless God is with me. Every day I learn because I realized I can only give what I have. I can't give what I don't have. Number 3, every day I journal what I learn. I write. I never sit down to write books. Many of you know I have published several books, but I never ever sit down to write any book. All my books are the messages that I deliver. They are my spoken word translated into books. Every day I write. Number 4, every day I reflect. I never go to any meeting, not even this one, without reflecting, without putting myself in the eyes of the audience. And more importantly, in the eyes of the audience, the one audience who gave me this mission. And finally, number 5, every day I speak things into existence. Before I announced this meeting, I began to speak each one of you into this hall. Because I realized I will not achieve what God wants me to achieve if I only operate with what I'm able to see. So I exercise the faith realm. Every day I speak things into existence. Some people tell me, Doc, there's so much money in oil. Let's go to Turkana. Can't you see how they are doing like Adonijah in Nigeria? That's your tree. I found my tree. Now there's so much money in computers. That's true. Go ahead with your computer science. This is my tree. What a beautiful thing if we all focus on our tree. One lady attended my 3-day training along the River Nile. And I was teaching for 3 days about purpose. Her name is Beatrice, PhD. She was a director with the TSC, and she connected with her purpose while we were doing that cruise. And she launched Nobility House. In her long career as a teacher, she realized how many teachers struggle with drugs, drunkenness, silently. And she launched Nobility House to rehabilitate them. She connected with her purpose. I believe Beatrice, Dr. Beatrice Mange is in our midst. Is Beatrice here? You could wave. Thank you so much, Beatrice. A gentleman by the name Sam heard about me and organized a meeting in Coventry in the UK. And I went and I taught what I'm teaching you tonight. Then I was doing another meeting in Manchester, and he chose to drive for over 4 hours together with his wife. I sat with them over dinner, and what was supposed to be 30 minutes meeting went into about 4 hours. And then they connected with something bigger. They have been in the UK, they have lived there for over 20 years. And they decided to come back to Kenya and put up a full-fledged hospital. This was 2017. And they put up a hospital called St. Joel Community Hospital along Limuru Road with 4 wards. And they did it in a record 8 months. And I believe Sam is in our midst. He told me he'll be coming for this conference. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Sam. And I'm saying this because I realized some people may not afford some of the cruises we do. So I decided to launch a 12 hours crash program just to help you connect with your purpose. It is one thing to hear that you need to connect with your purpose, then what next? So I do a one-day crash program known as 12 hours of transformation. I do it once a year, and we did it in March. But because of this conference, I like to do that class again because there are many people who are hearing this voice for their very first time. So I'm going to repeat that class 6th of July and connect with your God-given purpose. I'll help you monetize your purpose. I'll come up with some models. I've taken a lot of people through it. If you're interested, you can join us 6th of July and connect with your God-given purpose. But sometimes I receive emails from Kenyans saying they want to learn about public speaking and training and public presentations. So I'll host a class for those interested in presentations and public speaking on 27th, Saturday 27th. We only take 30 people on first come, first served basis. The second T, time. Time. The famed French entomologist Jean-Henri Faber conducted a series of experiments on some processionary caterpillars, so named because they follow each other forming a never-ending cycle. And Jean-Henri Faber decided to put some food of caterpillars, some delicacies, some food they really like, right in the middle of the procession. Despite the food being so near them, about 6 inches away, they went round and round and round in cycles, believing they were getting closer and closer and closer to the food. They could sense the food. They could smell the food. But 7 days later, they all dropped dead out of starvation and exhaustion. Why? Because they confused motion with meaning. They confused movement with progress. They confused activities for accomplishments. They confused processes for results. Busy, but no evidence of what they have acquired the last 3 years. And some of you listening to me here, if I ask you to be honest and take stock of the last 5 years, what tangible thing have you accomplished? It's not enough to be busy. So are the bees. The question is, you're busy doing what? There's no point in measuring speed if you're headed in the wrong direction. You see, time does not mark time. Time will not wait you to correct yourself and recollect who you are. Time moves on. Time has no emotions. We cannot teach time emotional intelligence. Time doesn't care the emotions you're going through. Let me just take a case. Assume there are 2 farmers. One is going through a very exciting emotion. The daughter is doing a wedding. On my left is another farmer who is burying his loved one, his spouse, the love of his wife. These are 2 extreme emotions. If these farmers come from an area where they plant cabbages, cabbages don't care that this farmer is mooning and this one is celebrating. Time moves on. It doesn't get into your emotions. So what do you do about time? I want to suggest some 3 quick tips. Number 1, account for each day. Account for each day. I believe with all my heart that the greatest difference between the rich and the poor is not how they spend their money, but how they spend their time. On Sunday night, I was coming from Kisumu. I was speaking there the whole weekend. We had an amazing weekend. I received a phone call around 8:30 from Tabitha. Unfortunately, I was already in the plane, so I told her I'm in the plane. Can I call you when I get down? She agreed. And when I landed in Nairobi, I called her, and she wanted to know what time we'll be finishing because she has another engagement at 9. Do you know what was happening? Though she didn't tell me, I realized she's checking her week's agenda. She's trying to put her week into perspective. So she's checking day by day, and then she realized in the course of the week, she was meant to come for this conference. Meanwhile, there is someone listening to me here tonight who is not sure what they will be doing tomorrow. If you can hear me and you're not sure what you'll be doing tomorrow, as Dennis would put it, your day and your time is up for grabs by the highest bidder. You are a disaster waiting to occur. My conviction is this. Decide what you're going to do in your life. Every single year, have some clear goals, because 31st of December this year, irrespective of what you do or do not do, you will have results. Decide what results you want by 31st of December. Then every single quarter, every single 90 days, then every single week. Plan every week the week before. Plan every day the night before. Don't wake up to decide what to do today, because you're going to adjust your priorities conveniently. Plan each day the night before. Plan each week the weekend before. My second advice about time: learn to say no. Learn to focus. Focus is the ability to say no. Wisdom is not just knowing what to do, but more importantly, knowing what not to do. Retrain your social networks that you're not an abundance in waiting for their emergencies. Every time they're looking for someone to fix their issues, you're just a call away. Thirdly, don't do major activities on minor time, and don't do minor activities on major time. For instance, don't get into social media during your working hours. Don't allow time stealers to sneak through gadgets. Learn to work offline. Switch off that TV. You know, when I was going through Erastus' book, Guard Your Heart Password, I came across some very powerful truths about time. Erastus, please, could you just share two of them with us?
There is no important day than the other. Every day has 24 hours. The difference is the choices you make and what you do within the 24 hours. Everybody is always available, but you choose where to be available. You choose to be here. You are only unavailable when you die. When you take care of a day, you take care of the year. Time cannot be stored. It cannot be renewed. You cannot stop time. You cannot negotiate with time. You cannot plead with time. You cannot insure or be assured by time. In fact, you cannot borrow or sell time. You cannot even lend time. You cannot buy. There is no amount of money in this world that can give you back your time. The only thing you can do to time is to spend it. In fact, you cannot even save time or lose time. You can only spend. The difference is you spend it doing what? When you do nothing, you have still spent time by doing nothing. And when you think that nothing is happening, the clock is still ticking. That time when you think that nothing much is happening, remember, something is happening somewhere else. You cannot hold the hands of time. And you see, time is like a river. You cannot touch the same flow twice. The flow that has gone is already gone. That is why some of us as business people, we have gone to an extent of even writing within a business premises that if you have nothing to do, don't do it here. If you are very busy having a project called nothing, and you're looking for a venue where you want to go and implement this big project called nothing, please look for an alternative venue, because people who have nothing to do should not be doing it here. Because when you do nothing, nothing will happen as an event. That nothing will still happen. So unless you take care of the time, unless you gauge your success in your work through the unit of a day and guard a day, you look at your annual goals and realize that you didn't achieve anything. Because the way to measure time in the best way is to look at it in terms of a day. No hour, no minute is more precious than the other. No day is important than any other day. They are only important decisions. It is not Monday to Sunday that defines who you become. It is what you do with the Monday to Sunday. It is your decisions that make the difference. Time is an equalizer, but our actions are the differentiators. The rich and the poor both have time, both have 24 hours, but they don't get the same results. Even if you remove the battery to your watch, the time will still move on. Time has the greatest element of integrity. It negotiates with no one, it respects no one, it just moves on. Whether you show up or not, time just moves on. When you think nothing is happening, something is happening at the clock. The clock is ticking. Take us to the next element, the train, because you have to take time to train yourself.
Number 3, train. Are you number 3? Train. You know, on 14th of April 1912, the Titanic hit an iceberg. 2:20 a.m. the following day, 15th of April, they began to sink. And regrettably, 1,500 people were lost. Only 700 was saved out of 2,200 on board. It has been found out later that that which was seen above the sea surface, which is now known as the tip of the iceberg, was only 10%. 90% of the iceberg was submerged in water. I recognize many of you might not be able to see this because the hole is so big, but I'm holding a glass of water and a pen right in there, and what you can see above the surface of the water is just a tip of the pen. 90% of the pen is submerged in water. Your subconscious mind reveals who you are. What we see in your life is just a tip of what is deep-rooted within you, what is hardwired within you. If you've been driving for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, then you know you drive subconsciously. Perhaps you pick your phone, you read your newspaper, you prepare for your seminar notes while still driving, because you don't drive with your conscious mind, you drive with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind doesn't decide what is good or bad for you. Your subconscious mind does not act in your best interest. Your subconscious mind simply performs your conscious orders. How? They have been repeated over and over and over again until they have given those instructions to a deep-rooted, submerged system. I'm saying this in plain language. You don't have a mind. You are your mind. Your life is an overflow of your thoughts. Your world is a creation of your thoughts. Margaret, please, if you would come, please. With the permission of Erastus. Could you come on stage? And that's Erastus' wife. And I want you to pick this concept, very simple concept. Her name is Margaret. And I'm saying you don't have a mind, you are your mind. If you pick my mind right now and put it in Margaret, she's going to deliver the speech I'm having tonight. If you pick Margaret's mind and put in me, I'll start applying lipsticks. I'll start wearing high heel to look taller. You know the things you girls do? You know only men don't change at night. When we go to bed, all women change. You see, doctors have conducted kidney transplant, intestine transplant, liver transplant, amazingly enough, even heart transplant. But never once has any doctor ever done a mind transplant. If they did that, we would end up with a different person altogether. Because you are your mind. Margaret, you may sit. Thank you. Here's the deal. It will never hit your wallet until it hits your mind. It will never reflect in your bank account until it registers in your mind. You can change your clothes, you can change your name, you can change your country of residence, you can change your skin pigmentation and go for plastic surgery. But if you don't, you can even change your job, you can keep on changing businesses. But if you don't change your mind, you will have the same results. For instance, a nanny, in Kenya we call them house girls, can raise a child. 30 years later, the same baby employs the nanny. See, many of you here believe time will fix issues. Time will never fix your marriage. Time will never fix your relationships. Time will never fix your business. Time will never fix your money. You keep hoping things will be better. Hope is not a strategy. Nothing will change until you change. The passing of time will never change your reality unless you identify the missing link. The passing of time will never alter your outcomes. You'll have the same results year in, year out. So how do we change, Doc? You change by changing your mental inputs. A piece of land doesn't care what you sow. It doesn't care the seed you sow. You simply harvest from the seed you sow. Land doesn't care what you sow. The best way of controlling tomorrow is before it becomes today. The best way of controlling tomorrow is before it arrives. I can sit with any of you, talk to you for 5 to 10 minutes, and I'll tell you exactly how you will be doing in your life 5 years from now. Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. See, the only two gifts of immortality bestowed upon man is mind and speech. Anything else can be found in a cat or a dog or a horse. Then you've got to take care of what you see and what you hear. Don't consume every piece of media. Learn to filter stuff. The eyes are the windows of the soul, and the ears are the gateway to the heart. Learn to switch off that TV. Refuse to consume and share trash on social media. Replace that time and energy reading useful stuff, studying successful people, reading an inspirational thing. Even enroll on an online program. It will change your life. You know, your mind is elastic. It continues to grow as you feed it. And I can recommend to you one online program. I have very many online programs. In fact, I'll give you an offer for one online program because it's relevant to the theme of this conference. I'll give you an offer. Starting business without money. We normally sell these programs for 10K. If you are going to buy that program today, I'll give you for 1K. I'm sure in the West, if they heard I sold a program for $10, they will not believe it. Just $10. But I know Africans. Some of you still prefer to drink 3 beers. Some of you still prefer to buy chicken and chips. But let me tell you what you can learn in that program. 10 modules for only 1K. 1K, 10 modules. The first module, I teach about why businesses fail in Kenya. And I give you 8 reasons. The second module, I teach you about having a business mindset. How do you cultivate a business mindset? The third module, business idea. How do you generate a business idea from scratch to fruition? The fourth module, and by the way, my Mercy, my own wife, listened to this program. She listened to me teach about it. She used to work in Safaricom, and one day she decided she's going to be an employer from an employee. She decided to invest in the beauty industry, and I supported her. And she opened her first shop at Tomboya. She opened her second branch in Westlands. She opened her third branch, Ronald Gara. She opened her fourth branch, Bariakid. She opened the next branch, Biashara Street. And this year she has opened another branch, Gong Road. She has been an employee for many years. Now she has employed over 100 people. Each one of you can do it. You know, the most difficult thing for a speaker is for your wife to believe your message. You know, when Mercy told me she wanted to start a business, I was shocked. I've lived with her for many years. I never saw any business in her life. And I was supposed to sponsor her ideas. But today when I see over 100 people benefiting from what she's doing, I tell you this, you too can generate an idea. And I remember telling her, just think about the things you like doing, the things you love. And I knew the one thing that makes me almost broke is her nails and her hair. Because she loves spending time in the salon. So anyway, there's a module on how to generate a sound business idea. Number 4, business timing. I'm going to teach you that because timing is everything in business. If you do the right thing the wrong time, you don't get rewarded. You repay. The 5th module is called business modeling. And I teach you some 10 business models. Number 6, business system. How do you cultivate a business system that makes you earn when you're not there? Number 7, products differentiation. It is not enough to have great products. The idea is not how superior your products are, but how different they are from the rest in the market. Number 8, I'll teach you about competitive advantage. How do you render competition irrelevant? Number 9, time execution. I've discussed 10 things on how to win with your team. You see, great entrepreneurs don't build business. They build people, and then the people build the business. I've given you 10 ways to do that. And the last module is business funding, and I've explained 10 sources of business funding. And maybe I may mention also, I know some of you love our books. Let me mention 2 or 3 books. We have so many. I recommend one book for all of you. It is written by Erastus. Guard Your Heart Password. It will show you how to guard your ears, your eyes, your mouth, your heart, and your mind. The Bible says above all things, guard your heart, out of which comes issues of life. This is a very powerful book to enhance your emotional intelligence. The one that is relevant to the meeting tonight is called You Don't Need a Job. This book is for the strong. It's not for everyone. If you're employed somewhere and you have no intention to do business, avoid this book. Just avoid it. If you resign, I'm not responsible. I'm a writer. The Power of the Spoken Word, 10 chapters. Many of you have this book, How to Speak to Your Children. But the most important chapter is called The Power of Self-Talk. If somebody spoke cursing words to you when you're growing up, especially words of a father, I've shown you how to break those curses and achieve your God-given destiny. We have these books available at 500 bob. Those who are keen with personal branding, I have a book I wrote on repositioning yourself. It focuses on 4 areas: to brand, strategic thinking, how to start a business, and the power of an idea. Then I wrote a book on gifts called Blue Sky Strategy, the only book I wrote in full color, Blue Sky Strategy. Then I have some books on parenting and others on purpose. I'll not mention them. Let's go to number 4. Team. Napoleon Hill spent about 25 years studying success. And then he concluded, you can have anything you want in life if you just help enough people get what they want. An idea that was later popularized by Zig Ziglar. And all of us are like islands in the sea, connected in the deep, but separate on the surface. I want to make 3 simple suggestions for you as a team player, because you'll never succeed in your business until you become a team player. Number 1, learn to work with people. Stop complaining people are difficult. God works with everyone. He uses righteous kings like King David and wicked kings like Nebuchadnezzar and King Cyrus who does not know him. God uses righteous people like Job and prostitutes like Rahab. God uses Jews and Gentiles like Ruth, children and adults, men and women. God uses all people, including a donkey. Learn to work with everyone. You know, when I'm relaxing, I love watching animal movies. And one of the things I found out in the jungle, a lion cannot attack 3 buffalo bulls so long as they're together. So what the lion does is to roar to scare them away. And once they get scared, they get separated. Once he separates them, he easily overpowers them. Isolation leads to termination. Isolation limits imagination. When you stay alone, you minimize your capacity to reason. You encourage hopelessness, and suicidal thoughts are manufactured when you retreat to your own cocoon. Learn to work with others. As a team player, number 2, review your associations periodically. Review your associations periodically. Today, the 17th of April 2019, I am part of your story. I'm playing a particular role in your life. For many of you here, we may meet again, but chances are there's someone hearing my voice tonight who may never hear me again. This was the only role I was meant to play in your life. I'm removed from the stage of your life. Your story goes on. Learn when somebody's role in your life is over and let them go. Learn when somebody's season in your life is over and let them go. Stop hanging onto those high school relationships and college relationships. Some of them are useful, 1 or 2 of them. Focus on opening new frontiers. Refuse to walk with people who judge you from your history, and walk with people who see the promise in you. Walk with people who see the destiny in you. Learn when somebody's role in your life is over. That doesn't mean they're bad people. They're precious people in the sight of God. They're valuable people to their families, but they may no longer be adding value to your life. Let them go. If somebody walked out on you, let them go. It could mean your destiny does not require them. If somebody walked out on you, maybe that was done for you to realize you did not even need them in the first place. At some point when Jesus began his ministry, he stopped with working with people who had seen him as a carpenter. And he began to associate with people who saw him as the Savior. People who saw the mission ahead. As a team player, my third advice for you, learn to give. And the ambassador spoke about it earlier. Giving is the only evidence that you're not under the curse of greed. Mother Teresa said, if you can't feed 1,000, feed a soul. In The Long Walk to Freedom, I read somewhere, Nelson Mandela wrote, sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. You can be that generation. I ask you tonight, will you be that generation that can plant a tree whose shade may never shelter you, doing something to people who may never repay you? You will never receive abundantly until you learn to give liberally. If God cannot trust you with the little he has given you to support a needy child, he may not trust you to start a foundation like wings to fly. And there's nothing that brings out the power of a team than an orchestra. Dennis, how does an orchestra play out?
You know, Dr. Ari, life is like an orchestra. Life is like an orchestra. And I'm sure a lot of us have watched an orchestra. And you see, what happens with an orchestra is this. You will probably find one guy who starts the music. And it's probably going to be the drummist. And he starts to just hit the drum and begin to build a rhythm. You can hear the rhythm? And it begins to build that rhythm. And within no time, the keyboardist guy connects with what is going on that orchestra. And he begins to just strum his keys in line with the bassist, and they begin to rhyme that particular music. And before long, man, the saxophone guy just comes on in, and the bassist, and each of them begins just to play their beats. Can you hear the music in your mind? They begin to play their beat, and the drummist guy is just hitting his drums. The bassist guy is just flowing in his bass, and then the keyboard guy is on, and the lead guy is, and the mic guy is just, and they're all building such a beautiful piece of music, such that the audience is just drawn by just the beauty of this music. And if you look at them closely, you'll just find that the bass guy, while he's just strumming his strings, he's just looking at the keyboard guy. And he's not saying that I want to play the keyboard. He's just saying, man, you play your keyboard so good that you make my bass sound even greater. In fact, for my bass to keep sounding good, you're going to have to keep on doing your keyboard just exactly the way you're doing it. The thing about them is this. None of them crosses lanes. Each of them stays in their own space. And each of them knows very well that the better I keep doing my beat, the greater it makes my other bandmate sound. And in fact, the more the bass guy sounds good and the drum sound good, even the vocalist just brings out the beauty of the music. And at the end of the day, all of us are just drawn in awe of this particular music. And the thing about the orchestra is this. They may look at each other, and indeed they will look at each other from time to time. And they are saying, man, I like how you play it. And how you play it makes mine sound so good. Keep on doing your stuff. And I commit to you, I'm going to keep on doing my stuff. I'm not called for the bass. I'm called for my drums. But your bass makes me look really, really good. And the thing about life is this. The more you keep doing your bit, you make me too look absolutely great. If everyone in the team just does their bit real good, then it makes all of us sound really beautiful. And you know, at the end of it, when each of us is doing the beauty of our pieces, it all comes together as a sweet smelling aroma, even before God. And he looks at us and he says, I am so pleased that each of them kept to their lane, each of them did their thing, and they did it so beautiful, because the power of a team is in the beauty of each of them. But you know, for this to come out real good, each of them has got to trust each other to do the beats that they must.
So can we talk about trust?
Let's go ahead.
Thank you, Dennis. The fifth law and the last one, trust. Our last point tonight, trust. Trust. Trust is the glue that keeps a relationship together. Trust is the main bread that you need to manage. Trust is the currency of business. Without trust, there are no transactions. So I want to ask you 3 questions about trust, and we close the conference. Question number 1, who trusts you? Who can trust you? To put this in perspective, I'm asking you in plain language. Who can you make a phone call tonight and tell them, I want 1 million shillings, and without blinking an eye, they wire the money to you by Swift? How many people can do that without telling you, let's do some people, let's get a lawyer? You know, there's some people listening to me here, nobody can even trust them with 50K. Here is the deal. Imagine if you wanted to be a car dealer in Kenya and you went to Japan and you said you can sell a fast-moving car in Kenya. Any fast-moving car. Maybe let's call it Vitz. And this guy gives you 10 units, believing you're going to pay him on schedule. Remember, they are there primarily to sell vehicles. The only reason they may not sell you is because maybe they don't trust you. Remember, trust is never given, trust is earned. Imagine if Apple today entrusted you with smartphones, a full container. Maybe you're looking for capital, and all you need is to build your trust bank. Personally, much of the things we do is based on trust. I called KICC. I gave them the date you're going to do the conference. Without a dime, they reserved. All the places we go, like Regency and Lillian Towers, many times we pay much later. My printers give me books in thousands and thousands without a dime. And some of you are stuck simply because no one can trust you. It is time you begin to build your trust bank deposits. Question number 2. Do you trust God? Can you trust an unknown future to a known God and say like the singer, because he lives, I can face tomorrow? You see, Abraham was called by God, leave your country of Ur and go somewhere. Where? I'll show you. Where? I'm 75 years of age. I'm preparing for retirement. Where are you telling me to go? Just go. How will I know when I reach there? I'll let you know. Just go. And he trusted God. Can you trust God? You see, the fact that you're broke doesn't make you qualified to receive from God. The fact that you're poor doesn't make you qualified to receive. God is not moved by poverty. God is moved by his promises. God is moved by his covenants. He's a promise-keeping God. Can you trust God? That's the question I'm asking. In the parable of the talents, talk to me if you can. The master was going on a distant country. He gave the first guy some 5 talents. He worked very hard. Returned how many total? Talk to me. How many? 10. And the master said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of the Lord. The second guy was given 2 talents. Worked hard, returned how many total? 4. But there is one character who did not utilize his talent. He feared to lose his talent. He took precaution. He decided to hide it. Just like some of you fear to use your little salary and savings to start something. You fear it's going to get lost. When the master came, he judged him. Unfaithful, wicked, lazy, unworthy servant. Go out to the outer darkness where there is wailing and gnashing of teeth. Why? Without faith, it's impossible to please God. In business, they call it risk. In scriptures, we call it faith. Without faith, you will never achieve anything. Because life has no certainties. When we planned this conference, I did not make any contract with any of you to come. We did it by faith. Question number 3, and perhaps the most important question. Can God trust you? Can God trust you? Can God trust you with wealth? Can he trust you that if you receive wealth, you're not going to destroy yourself? Can God trust you that your hands can be channels of blessings to others? Children who couldn't go to school will go because you receive wealth. Do you just want the blessings, but you don't want the blesser? Your transaction with God is that of using him. What shall it benefit you if you gain the whole world and lose your own soul? I ask you one more time. Do you know him? Do you know the blesser? Or you just know his blessings? No one brings out this question in a more profound manner than Dr. S.M. Lockridge. In his masterpiece, he asked this question. Do you know him? Do you know the king? My king was born king. The Bible says he's a 7-way king. He's the king of the Jews. That's the racial king. He's the king of Israel. That's the national king. He's the king of righteousness. He's the king of ages. He's the king of heaven. He's the king of glory. He's the king of kings and he's the Lord of lords. Do you know him? King David says that the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament showeth his handiwork. My king is the only king in whom there are no means of measure to indicate his limitless love. No far-seeing telescope can bring into visibility the coastline of his shoreless supplies. No barrier can block him from pouring out his blessing. Do you know him? He's enduringly strong. He's entirely sincere. He's eternally steadfast. He's immortally gracious. He's imperially powerful. He's impartially merciful. Do you know him? He's God's son. He's the sinner's savior. He's the centerpiece of civilization. He stands alone in himself. He's august. He's unprecedented. He's unparalleled. He's supreme. He's preeminent. Do you know him? Ask your neighbor, do you know him? He's the loftiest idea in literature. He's the highest personality in philosophy. He's a supreme question in higher criticism. He's the fundamental doctrine of true theology. He's the cardinal necessity of spiritual religion. He's the miracle of the age. He is the superlative of everything good that you choose to call him. Do you know him? My king is the only one able to supply all our needs simultaneously. He supplies strength for the weak. He's available for the tempted and the tried. He sympathizes and he saves. He's a strong God and he guides. He heals the sick. He cleanses the lepers. He forgives the sinners. He discharges the debtors. He delivers the captives. He defends the feeble. He blesses the young. He serves the unfortunate. He regards the aged. He rewards the diligent. And he beautifies the meek. Do you know him? My king is the king of knowledge. He's the wellspring of wisdom. He's the doorway of deliverance. He's the pathway of peace. He's the roadway of righteousness. He's the highway of holiness. He's the gateway of glory. He's the master of the mighty. He's the captain of the congalers. He's the head of the heroes. He's the leader of the legislators. He's the governor of governors. He's the overseer of overcomers. He's the prince of princes. He's the king of kings. And he's the Lord of lords. Do you know him? You know, his office is manifold. His promise is sure. His light is matchless. His goodness is limitless. His grace is sufficient. His mercy is everlasting. His love never changes. His word is enough. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. Do you know him? Well, I wish I could describe him, but he's indescribable. He's incomprehensible. He's invincible. He's irresistible. I'm trying to tell you, the heavens and the heavens cannot contain him, let alone a man try to explain him. You can't get him out of your mind, and you can't get him off your hand. You can't live without him, and you cannot outlive him. I know you might not be comfortable with this, but I say it with no apology. 2,000 years ago, wise men went to seek him, and when they found him, they worshipped him. I look at you and tell you this, watchmen still seek him today. I had many facts. I was the first PhD in Kenya in project management, and I can look at you and tell you this. We are more than 100 students. I graduated alone. Watchmen still seek him. On that fateful afternoon, that turned out to be our victorious afternoon, Pontius Pilate asked a very serious question. What shall I do with Jesus the Christ? And now I tell you tonight, the eternal destiny of every human soul depends on your response to this question. What shall I do with Jesus the Christ? You have a choice to make. You can choose to crucify him, away with him, may his blood be on us and on our children, as the Jews say that afternoon. Or you can choose to embrace him as Lord and Savior, as his disciples did, and millions of believers in all ages throughout all the ages. At Gethsemane, Jesus cried with groanings that words cannot utter, with groanings that words cannot describe. Father, can you remove this cup from me? What cup was Jesus talking about? What cup was he talking about? Was it about death? Certainly not. There are many people before and after the cross who died for their faith. But throughout eternity, Jesus had a perfect harmony with his Father. For the first time, that harmony will be interfered by our sins. And God's wrath is multiplied on Jesus. The man Jesus could not fathom how to live without his Father's fellowship. Remember, Jesus was 100% man as though he was not God, and he was 100% God as though he was not man. He could not imagine, how do I go through that hour? Father, is there another way for their salvation? Is there another way for these people to be saved? And God the Father answered, this is the only way. You will not come to God through your terms. Jesus and his cross is the only way. Because it is so simple, many of us have taken it for granted. Maybe had God told us, for you to be born again, you have to go to Everest crawling on your knees. Maybe, just maybe, most of us would have given it a shot. But when you're told that there's a great exchange, where Jesus takes away your sin, you take away his righteousness. He takes away your poverty, then you take away his riches. Many of us take it for granted. I want to pray for you right now. And I want you to make that choice right now. There are many things I've told you in the past. But if I was only to tell you one thing, maybe you're the only reason we came here. Maybe you're the only reason all this was put up, that you may come to Jesus. Shall we bow our head for a word of prayer? Each one of us. Our gracious Lord, I thank you tonight for your grace. I thank you for what I've shared with these people. I've never hidden them the truth, that you are the truth. And now, Lord, I pray that you may bless those who are looking for your blessings. I pray tonight that, Father God, those who came here struggling in their finances, they may know you as the only supplier. They may know you as Jehovah Jireh. For those who may have come here unwell, we call upon you, Lord, our healer, that you may restore them. I pray that they may be healed, that they may know you. You are in our midst tonight. For those who are struggling in their relationships, love is God, and God is love. I pray that you may settle such a one, that they may experience your love tonight. What we are praying, I know there's someone who would like to give their life to Christ, and they are connecting with my message. They are connecting the message of the hour. If this describes you and you don't want to receive Christ, as we are seated, every eye closed, I'd like to request you to lift up your hand, and I'll pray for you tonight. I can see a couple of hands, many hands. Keep it down. This side, anyone? I can see a hand right there. I can see a hand on my extreme left. Anyone else? Keep it down. I've seen you. I've seen you. Anyone else? Those who got saved, we want to give you this gift together with Zeke. Please step forward. I want to greet your hands, shake your hand, give you a gift. Is that okay? Awesome. And before you leave, share with someone what you learned. At least 1 point. Share with someone 1 point. Those who are receiving Christ, I'm waiting for you right here. As the others go, I want to shake your hand and give you a gift.